Hello and welcome to FLAC TV, giving you the latest updates from the front lines of resistance on a planet in crisis. I'm your host, Raven Lunatic. Before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge that all of this content has been filmed on stolen land that has never been ceded, and that Indigenous sovereignty and justice should be at the forefront of all that we do. Our first story today, where our reporters on Wangan and Jagalingou Country have the latest on the continued fight against the infamous multinational coal mining giant Adani, whose proposed hole in the ground continues to destroy landscapes across Jenga, Wangan and Jagalingou countries.
G'day, Andy here from Frontline Action on Coal. We at FLAC have been here for 4 years, keeping an eye on what Adani's up to, organising resistance to their Carmichael mine, and when necessary, putting our bodies in the way of their destructive practices. Some other people who have been working to stop Adani for a long time are the Wangan and Jagalingou traditional owners out where the mine site is. The latest step in their long story of resistance is the Tour de Carmichael, where they're going to do a cycle from the Gregory Highway out to the Adani mine site. They're inviting people from across the country to come out and give a hand. So if that's you, we'll see you at the start of May up here on the climate front lines for a bit of scenic cycling and maybe a bit of disruption to the fossil fuel industry.
If you're sitting at home wondering what to do about climate change, come out here and join us.
Don't just sit at home swearing at the news, make the news.
Well said, Andy. Looks like it's Lycra versus High-Vis. Good to see traditional owners showing Queenslanders what real country looks like. Over to the Tarkania forest in Lutruwita, where our reporters have spoken to Dr. Lisa Searle about big industry's exploitation of precious native habitat and the taxpayer with their subsidised destruction across the state.
Sustainable Timber Tasmania are continuing on with logging of old growth forests, and we've done a lot of stop work actions in there, shutting down machinery in active logging coops in the area. And so we've also been doing some mill shutdowns to highlight what's actually happening to the Tasmanian forest. And we've also been active in the area of mining. So there are ongoing mining activities in Tasmania, including at a mine called Riley Creek, and they're desperately trying to get that mine up and running, and machinery started moving into the site a couple of days ago. So we've been active in there, blockading and trying to make sure that they don't get the machines set up. Most of the people in Tasmania don't want these native forests to be logged, don't want these precious places to be destroyed through mining. I think we've had about 20 arrests in logging coops, in mills, in mining operations, and these are people that are regular, everyday people. I mean, we say that, they're not, they're extraordinary people. They have made a decision to put their bodies on the front line to stand up and say, this is not acceptable. We won't stand for logging in Tasmania, we won't stand for logging in the Tarkine, and we won't stand for the destruction of our native environment.
Lisa mentions there Sustainable Timbers Tasmania, the company in charge of logging across the state. There's nothing I can see that's sustainable about flattening forests, you oxymorons. And now, I'd like you to imagine a constant, unbearable noise piercing through the walls of your home, every minute of every day. No, I'm not asking you to switch over to Sky News. I'm talking about seismic testing. Seismic testing involves incredibly loud shock waves being blasted below the ocean floor, every 10 seconds, sometimes for months on end, affecting all levels of the ocean food chain. And what's it all for? To give energy companies data on where they should drill for oil and gas. Workers have come together with concerned citizens all across the Kulin Nation and Gadubanud countries to show their dissent to such harmful practices in their regions, as they believe this will ring a death knell to their livelihoods.
G'day, I'm Seamus Fillmore, and I'm just here reporting on a protest that has been organised by the Apollo Bay community and fishermen.
The fish, don't cry, don't cry.
When I was fishing down Moonlight when they about 15 years ago, and they came through with the boat, and then I went back out to the same grounds, and there was nothing left. There was no crayfish, there was no hermit crabs, no leather jackets, there was absolutely nothing.
I've watched it happen and watched it degrade our fishery for the last 30 years.
What they do, they don't see the damage, but us being fishermen, we see the damage that they've done, and it's for our future.
Once you get over the horizon, nobody knows what people are doing out there.
It turns the ocean floor into like a desert from the small stuff to the bigger stuff.
Why you gas? Why you gas?
To join up with us and be part of the group, and lobby your local man from Parliament maybe, consider no more gas.
Finally, to the weather. Almost all residents across the New South Wales coast are either experiencing flooding or are being evacuated. Oh, hang on, what's that? Oh, it seems that now the entire country has been given a severe weather warning as storms are set to ravage almost 2/3 of the continent. A warming shift in the Kosciuszko region has led plagues of insects, decimating some of the only surviving snow gums left in the world. Some folks in Tasmania have been smoked out due to some out-of-control backburns set by Sustainable Timbers Tasmania, as some of their fires have reached up to 10 times their intended size. It seems even weather just short of an apocalypse can't get the God-fearing Scott Morrison to call a climate emergency. Thank you, and that's the news from the frontline. I'm Raven Lunatic. Keep on locking on.